In the words of Nietzsche, let me quote one of my favorite philosophers. You know, I played the Barber of Seville on my trumpet.
I spliced an atom.
That's how you... That's how you know Aaron is really smart, because he mispronounces big words. You know, he's read them, he hasn't heard them anywhere. He's read them. I did that all the time when I was a child.
Pioneer.
You know, I had this was a real conversation between me and somebody much smarter than myself years ago, and they were like, what was Napoleon's first name? They're like, Napoleon. I'm like, no, his name was Napoleon. So that should, Aaron is infinitely smarter than me.
I tease because I love, clearly.
I think the thing that I share with Ling is that we're both Asian. And when, like, he always looks like he has his eyes shut but he can see, I can do that. I can shut my eyes and I still see all of you, but it looks like my eyes are shut. I see you, I totally can see everybody right now.
How many fingers am I holding up top?
4.
Wow!
I'm telling you, the epicanthic fold of the Asian eye. So my mama taught me.
I was wondering what about the show you enjoyed the most. Like for me, for instance, it was the darkness of it. The fact that 11-year-old boys had to deal with the death of their mom. That the alchemists had to deal with the fact that they were human weapons in the war. What was it about the show that you enjoyed the most?
Personally, I think, actually my mom was talking about this at her panel. I think my favorite thing about it is that it can combine those dark elements and then throw in something funny. Like, whenever Al was yelling at Ed for totally stealing your thing, Mom. Sorry. Whenever Al was yelling at Ed for they were about to die, and Al has lost an arm and a leg, and his other one's just kind of hanging on, and so he's yelling at Ed about it, and it's this really emotional moment, and you get all choked up. And then his arm falls off, his extra one, and he says, "Great! Now my arm fell off." It's cool. It's very deep.
I like that I'm in it. Let's be something. Yeah, I think the same thing is just the storyline. It's a great storyline, and it got a lot of people interested in anime that had never watched it before because of the kind of story that it was. And I think that's a beautiful thing, Tyr.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that in addition to it being an amazing story, it is very much the gateway drug anime for a lot of people.
You took my line!
Yeah, I did. And so I think it's so important. I mean, this room is full, and this convention is huge, and I think it shows like that bring people in, and I think that's great for the industry. So that's the other reason I like it.
And if I may kind of, launch into, digress momentarily, because I was mentioning this earlier in a panel I was doing, but one of the things that I love about anime, and this is incidentally, epitomized in Full Metal Alchemist, is the fact that you take, here in the USA, mainstream seems to be still uncomfortable with the idea of animation being anything but geared towards children. And by geared towards children, I mean kind of dumbed down, there's very little darkness, the drama is really kind of flat, and it's so fascinating. I mean, in this case, and we were discussing being children and watching some of our first anime, and it's, striking us the way it did because it was so unique compared to the other fare we were watching at the time on television. And there's nothing wrong with shows geared towards children at all. There's many, many fine examples of that. But the idea that it's something I always tell people that, because I've heard people say they just don't like anime. And I thought, well, you're not looking hard enough. Because anime is not a genre, it's a medium. It encompasses so many different genres that there's something in it that you'll find to like if you haven't found it. Of course, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but but it's so cool that a show like Full Metal Alchemist deals with such mature themes and has such great drama to it, as well as these wonderfully lighthearted comedic moments, and it's so successful, it all hangs together really well, and the fact that it's animated. That's a pretty stunning thing in this culture, in the mainstream in America, and I love that about that show, and as Casey was saying, it's a gateway anime into this wonderful world that we all know and love.
That is my line!
I'm stealing it too, sorry. But yeah, so that's in a nutshell is mine.
The other thing too, and we see this all the time, is so many people get to watch with their parents, it brought in a lot of different generations of one place, which is cool. Sorry about that, right?
I just want to say I agree with Aaron. I think the really neat thing about this show was that, I had done probably 50 or 60 series by the time we did Full Metal, and there was nothing that I felt like, as of that point, I hadn't been involved in anything that just kind of had it all. The story was amazing, the characters were well written, the animation was beautiful, the music was beautiful. The translation that Jared Hedges and his team did was amazing. The casting was good. The directors were great. Everything just seemed to come together. And the humor combined with the series, a lot of the Japanese anime creators have an amazing talent for doing that. Having you bawling your eyes out 1 second, and the next second you're laughing about some comedic moment, and then right back into something serious. And that's hard to do, but they craft it so well.
Can you imagine watching someone watch Full Metal sped up like that's like, their parents are just like, damn that anime.
The fast forward alchemist.
Oh, did it?
Of the voice actors of you up there, the ones that were in Clamp, like the Clamp productions like Tsubasa, Reservoir Chronicles, Triple X Holic, Chobits, did you have a lot of fun being those characters, and how much can you relate to them?
Like Clamp titles. Well, I think, anytime we get to work on a series, it's going to be fun. Because that means we're in the booth and we're practicing and our craft and getting to do it for a living. But also for something like Holic, for me, to be able to do that role with all its ups and downs in one scene, kind of like watching Full Metal sped up, like that takes place in a scene. And at the time, that was a very pivotal role for me, I felt, because before that I had done Yamato and Suzuka, and then I had gone into something like that. And so that show was very, it was a workout, because I lost my voice a couple times doing it because of the screaming and the yelling and and then the laughing and the craziness and the taking of pills to calm the emotions. And, it was very, but I had a great time. I think that Clamp is very imaginative, and the little touches that they put in the episodes just make it all the more grand,
I agree. I love Tsubasa. I think Tsubasa's awesome. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's beautiful. Holic will always have a special place in my heart, because not only is it one of my favorite series, I love the manga, I love the anime, but that was the first thing Todd and I ever got to work together on, and we've been buds ever since. We've done everything. I know, but yeah, enemies, friends, the whole 9 yards. And it's funny, it's like if Todd's in a show, I know that I'm not far behind. I'm like, I'll be in there somewhere, because we're like the Mutt and Jeff. It's really great. But I just love the style, and it's gorgeous. The fact that I play a character, a very brief appearing character in Tsubasa, and also in Holic, it's like I would love for Domaki and Seshiro to meet and not say a word to each other. Just stare each other down and then walk away. I just want to see that. I want to see that for some reason. It's the weird part of me, but.
We just a couple of weeks ago recorded the Tsubasa OVAs, the Tokyo Revelation stuff. And after doing so many episodes with, playing Phi, and nothing bothers him. He's so lighthearted and he's so even-tempered. And then for the things to start getting dark and serious with that character, I've loved it. And I don't think there is much animation that I've seen that's any more beautiful than Clamp's animation. It's absolutely breathtaking. So it's been a real privilege to be a part of that show. Sweetie, another question?
I was wondering what got you into voice acting, and if you hadn't gotten into voice acting, what profession you would have gone into?
Wendella? Start it off.
Everyone's already heard this
Go ahead.
story. I think so. I was in a play with Cynthia Krantz, who plays Chi-Chi on Dragon Ball Z and Mitzi on Shin-Chan and many, many other things. And she actually took me up to the studio, and I got to read for Chris Sabat, and I was in a show called Blue Gender. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that show. Thank you. I played Amma Kinder, and that is how I started in voice acting. If I wasn't voice acting, I'd probably be doing the same things I do. I do lots of different things, and all of the things that I do, I enjoy doing. So I would probably be doing that, which is I like floral design, and I'm a teacher, and I like decorating and stuff like that. Crafty crap, stuff like that.
Let's see. In 1998, a friend of mine, I was an actor in Dallas, and a friend of mine who was also an actor in Dallas said, "Hey, they're doing these cartoons. They're from Japan. You might want to give it a shot. Maybe you'll get a part." They were dubbing them in English. I said, "Cool, okay." So I go over there and I audition, and I get a couple of parts. And it turns out my friend's name is Mike. Turns out the show was Dragon Ball Z. And so I thought, cool. And the friend is Mike McFarlane. And that's how that started. And then from there, I just kept doing more and more stuff, writing, directing. And so it kind of started that way for me. And as far as the job I would do, Undertaker.
Like the wrestler or an Undertaker? I'm going to try to tell a quick version of the story as I can, but I was kind of tricked into this. In a good way, though. I mean, I'd always been an anime fan, and I loved it, but I hadn't acted in years when, back when I was 28 years old, Christopher Bevins, who was then directing, or beginning to direct the dub for Samurai 7, I'd been friends with him for a couple of years, and knew what he did, thought it was really cool, never gave voice acting a thought. He called me and asked if I would come into audition, and he had a specific part in mind that he wanted me to read for, and I told him no, that he was crazy. And Christopher Bevins, being the junkyard dog that he is, wouldn't take no for an answer and just hounded me for weeks and weeks and weeks. I kept coming up with ludicrous excuses. They're not going into audition, like I'm washing my hair tonight, or I'm straining cabbage, whatever. And he finally said, I'm going to get you in. I don't care. I'm going to drive. I'm going to kidnap you. We're going to throw you in the booth. You're going to audition. If I have to do that. So I finally just took him off my back, said, fine, okay, I'll go on to audition. And mind you, it wasn't because I had anything against anime, it was because I loved anime, and I was absolutely terrified at the prospect of making an idiot out of myself, trying to do something that I'd never done before. Because I am not a very courageous person at all in real life. No. I play one on TV, but anyway. And so he got me into audition, and it was really funny. It was like a 4-hour-long audition, and I had done auditions before, not in that particular atmosphere, but I thought, how do you people get anything done if everybody takes like 4 hours to audition? This is insane. We're like matching flaps and looking at the animation. This is ridiculous. And when I got out, totally convinced I had bombed it and I was going to be laughed out of the studio, I kind of came out going, yeah, see, I told you I would suck. And he goes, yeah, that was terrible. Sign here, you're an actor. We just recorded the first 6 episodes. And you're coming back on Sunday. And that's how it started. And then it's been this crazy, crazy ride ever since. And I love every minute of it. But man, I'm a backup singer. The one thing I would probably be one of two things had I not by total luck found my way into this profession. I would be either a concert pianist or I would have been an architect. Crafty stuff. I made a building once out of wool knit. That's my crazy story.
There is a voice actor, a very talented voice actor in Houston named John Gremion. And several years ago, John and I were working on a video production in Houston, and he said, "Let's go and audition for this place in town. they dubbed this Japanese cartoon anime stuff into English, and they need actors. So I went and auditioned, and I got cast as Vega in Street Fighter 2. And then just, and then just kept working. And I'm very, very, very grateful for the opportunity to do what I do. I love what I do. But to be honest,